I'm Shane Craig with Hands On Podcast, and today I am with Dean Demmer talking about commercial truck driving. Now, I was wondering, what was it like in the program here at TCTC?
Oh, it was a lot of fun, really. Just the whole environment and, the instructors, Mr. Baer and Mr. Lane, were very cool, patient, understanding, and it was just fun to learn how to drive truck. And that's what I do for a career now, and I don't regret anything.
I also have family who does commercial truck driving, and I'm wondering how it is with, you're out on the road all the time and you can't really spend as much time with family or friends, and I'm wondering how much you feel that affects, going to work or how, affects your whole schedule, I guess.
It definitely can get lonely at times. I had been driving a concrete truck for Haley's Incorporated, so I'm home every day, anyways. But there's definitely long hours, and um, you definitely do get tired. Um, I would also, it's for me, it's honestly a lot of fun. With the job I have, you get to not necessarily drive the same road every day. You kind of get put into different situations, and you have to figure out how to maneuver around a job site, and listening to the contractors or whoever's pouring the concrete. It's a little different than most truck driving jobs, but you're still driving truck.
And you said a couple of them, but I'm wondering, like, what do you feel like is like the right kind of skills or personality to, do truck driving?
You definitely want to be positive and outgoing and uh, versatile, because not all situations are the same. Even if you're like over the road or hauling freight, just around the state, you get into some sketchy situations and you have to be able to just keep your head on a swivel and uh, know how to work yourself through stressful situations.
And I'm wondering, how well did the program itself prepare you for the actual job?
It benefited me a lot, especially with how they taught. So when we actually started driving, we would have a bunch of people in the back of the truck. So it kind of put some pressure on you and to, perform well and do the things you need to do driving the truck. And so that kind of prepared me for what I do now when contractors are yelling at you and try to put you in a sketchy spot. You shouldn't really put a truck, but you do anyways. And so that just kind of taught me to keep my cool and just do what I need to do.
How long have you been doing commercial truck driving since, coming out of high school?
Since I graduated last year, so probably a little over a year and a half. Uh, two full seasons with Haley's here in the concrete industry. So um, this year was definitely easier than my last, because last year I was learning how to do everything. So I was able to just kind of put my head down this year, and I knew what I needed to do.
I'm wondering, what is the furthest you've had to travel for, like, either dropping off or just getting something or even having to go and get your truck?
So the farthest, so we have four plants, and our plant, which is in Sangerville, goes the most north. I've been to Jackman in a concrete truck quite a few times. I would say that's probably the most north. Either that or Northeast Cary up on a Golden Road. I haven't been there, but we do go up there very rarely. I have hauled out of our Monmouth plant, and I have been way down on the coast in West Bath. So that's kind of how far I've been north and south. Um, Also Farmington, I've been way up on Rangeley, way up Stratton. We were pouring some big foundations for Stratton lumber up there. So that was fun because you kind of get to see the whole state and see what's out there.
And I'm wondering, I don't know how much you might remember, but what was kind of the vibe in, the TCTC truck commercial truck driving program, if you remember?
Yeah, it was definitely pretty laid back. Like I said, Mr. Baer and Mr. Lane were very, very patient with us. And, when we made a mistake and beating ourselves up, they're like, hey, you're just learning, you're going to make mistakes. So it was definitely a very positive environment, and it made you feel a little bit better about mistakes you make. And, they tell you day one, you're going to make mistakes, they to warn you about the tests and how serious you have to be for those and how hard you have to study. Um, but yeah, I mean, I really like the environment, and they're just really good people over there.
And I'm wondering if I remember correctly, um, do you have to get the CDL like while you go to the company, or are you able to do that while you're in the program here at TCTC?
So you would you can obviously it'd be great if you could get your license at a tech school. Other than that, you would have to pay it for yourself after high school. Um, if you want to be a truck driver, you would preferably want your CDL before uh entering a company. I know some companies will help you get endorsements on your license, which allow you to drive different types of trucks and deliver different types of loads. So you want to at least have your CDL going into a trucking job, and from there, most of the time they will help you get what you need to haul certain loads.
And because you said it, I'm not thinking about it. What are the different kinds of trucks? Because I always thought that like a driver, they have their like personal truck that they always, take whatever that they need to. Or do you guys get to drive multiple different ones?
So you talk about like my job or just in general?
Um, well, both if you're willing to share on both.
Yeah, certainly. So where I work, I'm mostly a mixer truck driver. Um, Haul concrete. There's sometimes where you have to kind of jump into different trucks. I've ran dump truck. I've even worked in the pit screening gravel. So I've ran loaders and other heavy equipment like excavators and stuff like that. Um, but more broad outlook would be different types of trailers, trailer length. If you want to haul tanker, which is kind of, I would say, like a milk truck for someone who doesn't know what a tanker is. Uh, Doubles, triples, which is those big, long, shorter trailers, but you have multiple. So there's definitely different kinds of loads. Reefer, log truck, chip truck. It's all the same idea. But you have to know if you're hauling a certain load, you have to know what you have to do to keep the load, most importantly, tied down or in your truck like concrete. So uh, it's all really what you feel like, and obviously the pay has to be there as well. But if you're hauling freight across country, I mean that's pretty simple. You just drive to each terminal or where your delivery would be, like most of the time supermarkets or farms or stuff like that. So yeah.
Um, I'm wondering, is there anything that I haven't asked you about when it comes to either like your job or the program that you would like to mention?
Just if anyone wants to get into truck driving, just go for it. I mean, TCTC is the place to start. Give you a good jump start for your career. Even if you're junior in high school, get that license and think about your whole senior year, what you might want to do. And just go from there and jump right in it. That's what I did. I went to my senior year not even knowing what I was going to do after high school. And I was looking at the TCTC programs and thought that might be a good fit for me. And so far it is.
Well, I'm glad to hear that you enjoy your job, and I want to thank you again for talking to us and letting us interview you.
Certainly, I appreciate you guys giving me the opportunity. I like talking about my job. I like talking about trucks. So, yeah, this was good. Thank you very much.
Hello and welcome back to Hands On, the podcast of Tri-County Technical Center. I'm here with Thomas Baer of the Commercial Truck Driving Program. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. I feel really great being here today. This is quite a place you got here.
It's great to have you on. So, what do you do here at Tri-County Technical Center?
Well, we train and teach young people how to drive commercial vehicles and make a good living when they go out in the workforce.
What kind of activities would you guys be doing in your class anyway?
Well, right now we've been doing the boring ones, which is going through all the paperwork. They've been doing a lot of quiz taking, a lot of tests, and they actually went and just took their state test up in Bangor this last week.
Yeah, and a lot of people really don't like taking tests. It gets pretty boring.
Well, it's, young people, it comes pretty easy because you're used to being tested quite a bit, math and English tests and things like that. But the older people that I've tested in adult ed and stuff like that, when they're out of school for a little while, they lose that knack for taking tests, and they don't do as well as some of the younger people like yourself will do.
Yeah. What kind of stuff would be on their tests?
A lot of different questions. We have probably a 80-page book, and from cover to cover, everything that's in those pages they have to know. And the thing we've told them to do is read it from cover to cover 3, maybe 4 times, and get used to the material.
What are some examples of some things that the test could be about?
Well, there's roughly 50 questions of general knowledge things, like what you would do with any commercial vehicle over 26,001 pounds, like how you'd set out a set of triangles, what to expect in corners, curves, bad weather, things like that, and how you do vehicle inspections. Then, of course, they move on to air brakes, which a lot of commercial vehicles don't have, but quite a few do. It all depends on the size of them. And then we move right into the combination section, and that's a 20-question test. And even though it has very relatively few questions, there's an awful lot in there. And it goes anywhere from double to triple trailers to hazmat to school buses. And you can expect any of those titles to any of the information in the book to be included in any one of those tests.
All right. That sounds pretty involved.
It's intense, to say the least, yeah.
So why do you think students would want to take the program?
I think a lot of them like the thought of driving a big vehicle. Well, one of the big things, is Jake brakes, and they make a lot of noise, and a lot of people run straight pipes on their trucks now, which actually tires a person out. But I think some of them are starting to see the money aspect of it and what they can make. Like, for an example, a welding program is pretty good because a student can leave and go and make a lot of money welding in different trades out there. And a lot of other things I can think of, well, you take Kennebec Valley down there in Fairfield. They have a linesman's program. Of course, you need a CDL license for that, and they come to us and get their Class B or A. Most of them get their A, and it benefits them by giving them more of a broader range of employers to go to work for, and they need that to drive the line trucks to keep us in electricity like we've got a lab full of right here today.
Do you think demand for careers that involve commercial truck driving are going to go up or down or stay the same in the near future?
I think it's definitely always going to be going up because there's so much involved with it. You know, people think these autonomous vehicles now are going to be the greatest thing since sliced bread. The only problem is they haven't found a way to back them in to a alley dock to get unloaded. They haven't figured a way to have the trucks refuel themselves. And as far as the electric trucks go, well, we've heard a lot of horror stories about electric cars now and how they're going, and I don't see too much of a future in that either. If they do, that'll only mean they'll need more drivers. Right now, most of the autonomous trucks that are out there have a driver that goes along with them. So there's never going to be a drop in or a driver surplus out there. There's always going to be a shortage.
Yeah, and I actually know a little bit about how these like self-driving things work. The thing is, they're mostly powered by algorithms or AI or programming. The thing is, they always have their flaws, which I feel like not a lot of people think about when they actually think about these trucks or cars that drive themselves, things that just go on their own, and there's always a danger to them.
You're absolutely right. There's a certain area where they work very well, and that's a great place for them. But our state up here in the Northeast isn't one of them, and it's primarily due to the snow and stuff like that. They take and follow the white and yellow lines, and a lot of times for the good part of the winter, we don't see them. They're covered with snow and ice. And
yeah, they're covered in snow and ice, so they get all washed up.
Yes, yeah.
Do your students get any licenses or certifications for completing the program?
Well, of course, they always get their regular average grades, but they get their commercial driver's license, which, if they have a good driving record throughout their career, they'll always have until the state says, well, you're pretty old now. You probably don't need that anymore to drive, do you, or make a living? And, of course, they say no, and the state still allows them to have their Class C driver's license, but we don't drive for a living anymore.
How were some students' first experiences when driving a commercial vehicle?
You know, we're lucky that we live in this rural part of Maine where a lot of the students are relatives of farmers. Maybe their mom and dad are farmers. And they get a lot of hands-on experience. Well, running a manure spreader or a hay wagon or something like that gives them the ability to back up or go around corners, things like that. That works well in this part of the state of Maine. The other students that come along, they usually watch the students that are doing the maneuvering or working around, and it's amazing what watching somebody else do can help you, like setting up this lab right here. I mean, if you watch somebody do it time after time again, you generally get a good idea as to what needs to be done, and it helps you learn how to do this trade.
You and your class went and delivered Thanksgiving meals to a bunch of families in the local area. What other community activities do you have planned for the future?
Well, we've done a little bit of moving for donated food in the past. We've done a little bit of equipment moving with the vehicles that we have. We've moved a few sheds that are made by the building trades program, but that was one of the biggest things that we do from year to year, and it really is close to my heart, and I like the most that we do each and every year because we reach so many. I do like the Solidarity Harvest movement that we've been doing work with.
Why do you believe activities like that are important for the class?
I think it gives them a sense of belonging. I think it gives them a sense of commitment that they otherwise may not feel. If I might regale you for a minute, I can remember when I first did this, probably 19 years ago now. I took a load of food up to Millinocket, and we set all the food out on the tailgate of our trailer truck, and people were up there to help us unload, and they would took in and put it out on the lawn, out on the sidewalk of this K-Tech building that we were delivering to, which Kevin Gregory runs up there. And when we were all done, all the students were quiet. And usually there's a hustle and a bustle, and where are we going to go to eat? We've got to we need something right now, and it was just absolutely quiet. And I turned around and looked behind me, and they were all just sitting there. And I says, "Everything all right?" And they said, "Yeah, we just didn't realize we made such a difference in people's lives." One student said, "Some of those people are my neighbors, and I didn't realize that they needed that help." So it brings a sense of community to them, and then they feel for lack of better words, I think, proud of themselves for doing something like that.
I hear from some people that they don't really know the struggles that some people go through until they actually try to help them out with it or they experience it. And they always say that they feel proud of themselves, but they also feel a sense of, I'm not really sure what the term would be, but they feel very remorseful for the people, which they didn't even think about before. And it sounds like a lot of your students go through that whenever you do these kinds of activities for the community, and it's great to hear.
Yeah, and it's good for them. I see a lot of them getting into it themselves.
You mentioned this before, and I've actually heard about it myself. You guys have a truck driving simulator down there, don't you?
Oh, absolutely, thanks to Mr. Levitt and all of his hard work.
So what is the simulator like?
Well, it's not unlike this room right here. It's maybe twice the size inside of it. It has a simulator on one end, a computer and a generator on the other end. We can actually put a student in that has never driven a truck before, so that they can experience what it's like to tow something behind them, have a big truck or a little truck, a Class B truck, whatever have you, and we can put it in a number of different situations. Like we can change the engine size, we can make the truck empty or loaded, we can make it go around corners, we can use it in a city, we can use it in the country, up in the mountains, out in the desert, and simulate a lot of things that we can't really do while we're a school.
How does a truck driving simulator differ from how it's actually like to drive a commercial truck on the road?
Well, the truck simulator does not take away from hours that we have to put on the road with the students. We can't do that. We're not set up in that capacity with the state yet. They are looking at it with us. We had some people come up from the state and say, "Wow, this is just like the real thing. I like this." So Mr. Lane and I got together and we sent something down to them of what we would do and the chapters we would put it in. Now, for an example, there's a shifting scenario that's in the simulator. And there's also a chapter about shifting in the book. So what we teach the students in the classroom, therefore, we take out into the simulator, and we can show them, by them trying it themselves, exactly what double clutching and changing a splitter valve is all about when they actually get in the real thing. And it saves us a lot of time and money as far as repairs and maintenance and things like that. And it also gives us a really quick situation where they can, oh, so that's what you mean. That now I understand what it's all about in the book. So they assimilate the two. They put the two together, and they come out with a much better theory on what it was we taught them.
Because sometimes it is better to actually watch it happen. Of course, reading about it is good, but if you can actually watch it, then you can get a much better understanding. But if you can do both, then that gives you the best understanding.
Yeah. There's no... let me see how I can word this. There's no second chance for doing something other than doing it on that simulator sometime. Like we can make the students so that they actually get in an accident, which you really wouldn't want to do in real life, but they have to make quick split-second decisions about what to do in a situation. We can actually give them grades from the simulator if we so choose to. We haven't yet, and I think we'll stay away from that as much as we can, but I still think that there's room for it in the future. Probably after I get done teaching, but there's still room for it, and they can garner a different perspective on that as they go along as well.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being on the show, Mr. Baer.
I thoroughly enjoyed it, and we talked about a lot of good things that are close to me and dear to my heart, as well as I'm sure that you've had a lot of great experiences in here, interviewing a lot of different people, and appreciate it. And I'd like to come back anytime that you need some help. I know we've got a great school here, and we open up a lot of doors and job opportunities to students like you and the ones that I teach downstairs, and your fellow classmates, and that's what it's all about. There's nowhere else in the community, nowhere else in the state or in the United States can they do simulate what we do at CTE schools. So this is the best kept secret in the state of Maine, and it needs to get out a little bit more. People need to hear it.
I agree. Thank you so much for being on the show.